They said he found refuge on God's thumb.
No one will be condemned who finds refuge in him.
We can take refuge inside the mountain.
The refuge of the earth, we entrust
He
our
had
friend.
taken refuge in Capri.
In your mind that you sought refuge in a vision of Jesus.
Fortunately, Professor Bowles took
Taking
refuge.
refuge with my nasturtium seeds.
My last refuge, my books.
I'm certain he has taken refuge with the Baxters.
Like my cousin Moscow always says, this is our only refuge, baby.
Well, Grandpa, how did he survive?
They said he found refuge on God's thumb.
What's God's thumb?
Who knows?
The Lord redeems his servants. No one will be condemned who finds refuge in him.
You are a genius, sire. We can take refuge inside the mountain. It might smell a bit of dragon. The women can clean that up.
Knife, this is variable. Over.
The refuge of the earth, we entrust our friend's body. To the protection of our God.
One day Uncle Homer arrived. He had taken refuge in Capri, where he was constantly being watched by the police.
Whose death, though you could do nothing to prevent it, so preyed on your mind that you sought refuge in a vision of Jesus. And your future as a missionary looking after little brown.
You said Bum? Yes, yes. Fortunately, Professor Bowles took refuge behind a new shipment of inflatable gaiters.
You're a million miles away.
Yes, I was. I'm taking refuge with my nasturtium seeds.
Listen, you know that I mean.
My last refuge, my books. Simple pleasure.
I couldn't find anybody there in the back room.
I'm certain he has taken refuge with the Baxters. The Americano isn't stupid. He knows that that's the best.
Can overrule the Supreme Court? Like my cousin Moscow always says, this is our only refuge, baby. Gold.
To finish the job on their own. The boss will have his London refuge if he ever gets out.
I am not ready to sit down there in the refuge and wait for help.
Mario, my job
is behind the mention of Albania, of his stomach flu, taking refuge these scant days away from the election.
Young girl in rubble. She was driven from her home.
Soon it will be night. They'll seek refuge. Dimitra, I need you to return.
Italia's recent civil war had caused over 1 million people to flee to neighboring countries as refugees. Those who stayed faced droughts, floods.
Sire, the sheep and harlot has been found. She has taken refuge in the temple.
Athens supplied the balance.
We have a report that a small advance force of Persian ships have taken refuge from the storm just across the strait. If the weather breaks, we could hit them at dawn.
My sister and I remained in our refuge, seeing not a soul. Until one day.
Of play, but a fine man. And a kind of refuge I thought I could never have. Oh, you're not angry with me?
No.
Flee from Mount Tartarus. Seek refuge behind the safety of the Great Wall. There you will be protected. Anyone who needs more.
Man sponsored the attack, sir?
Al-Qaeda planned this attack. They have refuge in Afghanistan.
Well, the Middle East is our assigned region, sir.
Really?
For you.
You do? Good.
Yeah, I do. Because sarcasm is the refuge of losers.
It is? Really?
Yep. Sarcasm.
We could provide aid and access to technology and refuge to those who need it. Other countries do it. We could do it better.
Anger's the only thing they left me. Anger's my refuge. It's my shield. Anger is my birthright. Yeah!
Some women need it.
You'll find no refuge in the new religion. Your place is here. With Morholt.
You can do it.
So this is where you take refuge.
News. Uncle George is a super sleuth.
Collecting old newspapers is the last refuge of a truly boring man.
Boring? Far from it.
Luckily for the Green Fund's lawsuit, the heart of the new oil reserve is near a natural refuge for waterfowl. Osprey, egrets, pelicans, ducks.
Great formica, plastic palm trees. Clearly, a high-class refuge for big spenders.
The alternative that scares them so much they turn to Dr. King and Refuge. Let my being here, Mrs. King, represent the factions that will...
King. Where should His Fancy take refuge?
We do not use the word...
But, sire, we have word that he is in your domains. He's taken refuge in the Abbey of Sammata.
My Lord Bishop, we flatter ourselves there is some order.
Lord, you have guided our steps to this refuge of spiritual peace because you wish for reconciliation.
It will be our refuge until we can.
Why don't you answer?
She escaped from Kiloran and took refuge in my castle with her lover. One.
With a quick pivot, east and west too, the sun's fanfare and refuge.
Little pocket of the world, I say, nuclear free. Oh, you can try, but then there is no refuge, no pocket, no escape from the real world.
Here are some ideas for making your inner refuge. 1. Make a lean-to with...
The rest of us here are free men. Anyone can find refuge with us, but he's gonna have to respect our rules. This man's planning something that means bad trouble for all of us.
A house. It's not far from here, where we might take refuge.
Whose house? Are they friend or foe?
Yuraka! You have given refuge to my brother. I demand you release him at once.
This is my...
French embassy reveals that some 200 Europeans and an undisclosed number of Cambodians have taken refuge there. As yet, no statement has been made by the...
Lord is my refuge, my deliverer, my God is my helper, and in him I put my trust.
He had raided along the Blue Ridge. The English settlers had sought refuge at Fort Charles. By the time we got there,
has ever been made public. I have not taken refuge behind the Fifth Amendment, though it is my right to do so.
I provided refuge in a stronghold built by our ancestors, but if the garrison falls...
Within the hour.
Evacuate the city. Shut down the bridges. I want every single civilian in a refuge right now. Crimson Typhoon. General Alpha, I want you...
I don't think they could have had time to reach the shelter. They could have taken refuge in one of the crevices in the wall.
Johnson. All right, now what did he have to say about patriotism? He said it was the last refuge of the scoundrels, sir. I'm sorry, I meant nothing personal.
Voyagers arrived at the castle of the Marquis d'Apcher, who had offered them refuge in the Gévaudan region for as long as their mission endured.
Sterilize the earth and tide. Leave him no refuge. Let the exorcism begin.
This was your plan all along. To seek refuge with our enemy.
You have no enemies here, Solomon.
For a young gentleman in difficulty, who had killed a man in a duel and was anxious to find refuge from the law, the opportunity to earn distinction in the European...
The city must empty. We make for the refuge of Helm's Deep. Do not burden yourself with treasures. Take only...
It is a time of rejoicing. God, who is our refuge and our strength. God, who is that...
home world. Is he defecting?
We're not sure, sir.
He has taken refuge in the Ketha province, a region uninhabited for
He's got to be
decades.
hiding there, sir.
You're exhausted, that's all. Too many speeches.
I've got another one tomorrow for the children's refuge.
Well, you have to learn to say no.
How can I say no?